And hello everyone, welcome back to a new video. Today we'll be learning about lists. List functions, lists, everything basically. So, first off, before I get started with this, if you ever wonder about what you can do with some things such as a list, for example. In this case, it didn't seem to work here, so you have to actually run it inside of your interpreter, which you can do by just running Python. But anyways, then if you say dir and whatever you want to know of, like list, then here, as you can see, it gives you a bunch of things you can use for here. You can use append, clear, copy, count. We will go through some of these, not everything of course, but we'll go through some of them. And if you want to know more, you can always just come back here. Press Ctrl D or Ctrl Z to exit out of here. Okay. Let's clear the terminal and let's go back here. So remember, dir doesn't actually work inside of the file, you have to put it inside of an interpreter. So what is a list? Well, as we all know from the previous videos, a list is basically, in other words, an array or something that contains a bunch of values. It is mutable, so you can modify it and just all of those beautiful things. So let's say words, for example. And we make words equal to random things such as 10, girl, magnet, Pokemon, and let's see, we can add one more, and let's say we add dad. So now we just gave it a bunch of random values, but that is what it's made for. It's made to keep value inside of it. In fact, you can probably imagine a string as a bunch of these. For example, if we go my word and we make it equal to H E L L O, then this is basically, not really, but basically the same as saying hello. Because this is actually what's being interpreted when you run a string. It's basically being put inside of a list, and, well, not a one that can be mutated, but being put inside of a list and checking out like, hey, that's the string. But anyways, a list can also keep in things like more than just letters. They can keep in numbers and whatnot. So these words can also be numbers. In fact, let's make one called numbers. So we can go numbers, and we can make this equal to 10, 9, 18, 5, 2, 7. Let's do that. Now, let's print out the list. So print, and we can say words, because we're first going to be working with words. Then we go here and run python freemath.py. As you can see, it returns everything inside of this. Now, if you do ever wonder what type of type this is, because I will most likely not bring this up in a future video, then you can go type words. And this should theoretically tell you what the type of the word is, as you can see right here. This is a type of list. So this type with these basically just tells you, hey, this thing right here, that's a list. So you can put a string in here or whatnot, and it will basically tell you, hey, what type it is. So let's work here. Now let's say we want to get the first value inside of those words. Some of you might go, okay, then we use 1. But remember, lists, just like strings, starts from 0, index 0. This here is 0, this is 1, 2, 3, 4. Also, this is -1, -2, -3, and so on. So 0 to 4, -1 to negative whatever. So if we want the first one, we can go 0. And if we run this, we get 10. And if we say -1 or -0, we get dad. So basically, you can use this to navigate through it. Of course, if we go 1, then you will get girl. So if we go here, we get girl. Okay. So then you can also copy everything inside of here. So I believe by just doing this, I think it's the same as copying. Yes. So then that copies the entire thing. But of course, then you don't even need that. You can just do that. And then you can go something like, let's say you want to start copying from index 2 and onwards. So then it's going to go 0, 1, and it's going to copy from here to wherever. So magnet Pokemon dad. And of course you can limit it to somewhere. So let's say 4. If we run this, we get magnet Pokemon. So this starts from 2 and goes up to but not including 4. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So up to but not including 4. So up to 4 but not including this one. So it's only going to go to Pokemon. So magnet Pokemon. If you want to have that one as well, you can go 5. And then we'll include that as well. So then that copies specifically from place to place. Now, before I forget, with these, you can also use some math functions. So let's go numbers, for example. And let's say we want to sort, or not sort this, we want this to give us the maximum number in here, the biggest number. So then we can use a math function, such as max. And then if we go here, it returns 18. So instead of this numbers, it's going to find 18. So just as future reference, you can use min, max, sum, all of these math functions with these, because this is basically a list, and inside of min, you are supposed to put a list, such as 2, 4, 9, 8. It's the same thing. Same with sum. You can go sum, and it will count everything up for you, which is really handy. So in total, in numbers, we have 51. But that's just something to note. I'm not going to focus too hard on that. Now let's say we want to add, more than one list together. So let's call this words 2 or words 2, whichever floats your boat. And let's put some more words in. So let's go mommy, and we can go lily and liver, and let's add cat as well. So now we have 2 types of words, and let's actually create new variables. So let's say combined words for combined lists, So then we can go words plus words 2. And if we go here, print combined words, then it's going to add both of those lists together. So as you can see, instead of stopping at that, it's actually continuing with mommy, lily, liver, cat. So that's nice. So now you can add words together. Let's say you want to create an empty list because you just need it there. So then you can go empty list. Let's just call it empty list, and you can make it like that. That is an empty list. But also, empty list is also the same as saying list. So these two are the same thing. Now, just take note that lists can take more than one type of value. So this one right here may just contain strings or words, but we can also add things like numbers and booleans, so true, and even floating point values, 24.23. Anything you can think of can actually fit inside of here. It's not limited to one type. So as you can see, nothing happens if we add these two together and stuff like that. So it's just usually good practice to keep types together, unless we get to two-dimensional lists or more like complicated lists, which we'll focus on a lot later. So if you don't understand what I'm going to be talking about for now, don't worry, we will be focusing on this later. So let's say we have, let's call it complicated list, because it can be quite complicated to understand, especially if you're just beginning. So I'm going to do this just to make it easier to read, and then I'm going to say a list within a list. So then let's go 20, 19, 30, and then maybe 8, 7, 20. So let's say this is like the scores of what people got when they tried to play a game. Let's go 9, 17, 30. So let's say they played soccer or something, and this is the scores each team got. So the first round they got 20, then they got 19, then they got 30, and the third round, and then here the first round the next team got 8, 7, and it's basically a two-dimensional list, a 2D list. Let's go complicate the list. Let's just print this out. Let's see. So yeah, this is basically what Python sees. It just sees a list or lists within one list. If we want to access a specific one, let's say we want to access it at the index 0, there's going to return a full list. And if we go to index 1, there's going to return the next list. But let's say we want to access a value inside of one of these lists. Well, then we can just go and add another bracket here, and let's say we want to access the first value. So we're here, list 1, 0, 1, okay. And we want 0, so 0. Let's say we want 3, the last value, let's say -1, because we want the very last value. And then we get 20. Or of course you could have just said 2, and it will also give you the last value, but then it's just more effort to think. And of course this can even become more complicated, where we actually add lists within lists within lists. So then you can maybe like go here and say Jack, like Jack specifically, and then Michael's point, and then I don't know, Timmy's point, and so on and so forth. And then this right here below will just become more complicated. So let's go 0 for the first one, and let's display just what's in there, and let's see. There returns a two-dimensional list within a list. Let's say we want to access the first list. This is going to return the first list. And we want to access the middle value, which would be 1. And then, so it just becomes more complicated. But if this is a little confusing, don't worry. It doesn't, you don't need it right now. We'll probably be focusing more on this later as well. So yeah, there are more list functions and stuff like that, which we will be focusing on a bit later. But for right now, just know that this is some of the list things that you can do and use and stuff like that. So list functions will come later, but for right now, just know that this is the list. Thank you for watching. I hope this wasn't too complicated to understand, and see you all in the next